Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the BEARBUY and Cal Answers session. And before we begin, I'd like to thank our executive sponsor and Ron Coley, who is the Associate Vice Chancellor of Business Administration. And my name is Vanessa Wong. I am the Program Director of the BEARBUY project. And with me today, I have Ken Anderson, who is the Disbursement Director from the Controller's Office, David Scrans, who is the Change Manager for the BEARBUY project, John Conheim, who is the Deputy Director for the BEARBUY project, and also Rich Taylor, who is the Director of Strategic Procurement. And I wanted to go through a few slides, and for those of you who have questions, we can answer them after the presentation. Okay? So today's agenda, we're going to take a look at the type of problem that we're solving with BEARBUY and Cal Answers, and the solution itself, and what is it that we are doing in the deployment and where we are, and then we will talk about how you can prepare yourself for the BEARBUY project to be onboarding your departments and the resources that is going to be available for you. And we will then go through some of the BEARBUY stats. We are in live for certain groups of the campus users in BEARBUY, so we want to give you some update about that. And here's what it took to do BEARBUY in the quote here. I'd like to spend a little time and just give you some insight scoop about what we did in BEARBUY to launch that and how the project is implemented. And then we'll take questions. Sounds good? Okay. So the problem we're solving. As many of you know, in the past couple of 3 years, we've had massive amount of state budget cuts across both campuses. And as a result of that, we are severely underfunded and also understaffed. And we think that we have a solution for that. In order for us to work smarter with less, we also look at combining operations units from procurement services for both campuses, sharing resources, and also leveraging the power of combined spend between the two campuses, which is in excess of $1 billion per year. So that is not a small amount. By using that, we have a solution, and you know, when you have contracts that you can negotiate, you have people that can work smarter with streamlined processes, we need an enabler, and BEARBUY is exactly that key enabler that can achieve our procure-to-pay vision of savings over $30 million per year that we are going to earmark for BEARBUY by year 5. So this is a running earmark, so perhaps year 1 we want to achieve like a $2 million, but by year 5 we wanted to make sure that we are hitting the mark of $30 million per year. So how do we do that? Well, first of all, let's take a look at what Procure-to-Pay is, just to want to give everybody a baseline of the e-procurement solution, what it does for our campus. So everybody in this room, I think, would buy something in your lifetime, you know, within your work area, and we call that a request for buying things. And when you request after that, in the second box up here, you'll see that a purchase order will be then issued. When the goods come, you will receive the goods within your department, and of course you have to pay for it, and the vendors will send you an invoice. And the disbursement area at the controller's office will then process your invoice, and ultimately it gets paid. And all these transactions, whether it is a purchase order or something that you paid for, is going to be able to, you'll be able to see that in the Cal Answers solution. Okay? And so right now, I wanted to go over some of the elements of the BEARBUY project itself. It is a project that we have a joint project across both campuses of UC Berkeley and UCSF. And wherever possible, we will have standardized workflow rules between the two systems, and we recognize that each campus has a little bit of a different in terms of their approval policy and whatnot. So there is going to be a slight variation in the approval workflow. We have to implement a system that works for each of the campus so that you in the department will be able to do your job more effectively. One thing, though, we are striving in achieving a common set of catalog suppliers. And how do we do that? We will need to combine the spend for both campuses so that we have a much more leveraging power in terms of negotiating better pricing so that we can provide better value of goods and services to our campus. So in order to achieve that, we need to direct spend into BEARBUY so that we can aggregate the spend and be able to use that and negotiate better pricing with our vendor. Okay? So for everything that we buy, we have to pay for it. And so I'm going to ask Ken to come up here and let us know how Disbursement is seeing the change from the BEARBUY system. Ken?
Thank you very much. Okay, so a bit of a late addition to this party, I am, but no less energized. So there are three primary areas that are exciting regarding the disbursements changes as a result of BEARBUY. The first is our e-invoicing. So this is an electronic communication of a payment demand from an enabled vendor. So this is not an invoice being mailed. It's not an invoice being emailed. It's an invoice file being sent from one system to another. So if it matches the PO and there's no issues, then it routes through our system, just as if somebody had manually done it. And we'll see later some of the percentages of what we're seeing due to e-invoicing. And that, of course, is going to make things quicker. The system is going to be able to generate a voucher quicker than a person can and route it around, follow the same rules. So there's edit rules in there. And it's also going to allow for fewer opportunities for key errors, right, for a person to do key errors. Second thing that's exciting are the payment requests. So this is a form that essentially replaces the direct voucher or check request form in BFS. And the payment request, when it says it's flipped, what happens is when a requester submits it, it immediately on the disbursement side flips into a partially completed voucher. Okay, so the voucher's started, and all the line information, chart information, that's already on there. We're not rekeying it like today when you're mailing things down to the scanning room and then we're rekeying what you mailed. It's all in the system now. We finish it off with some edits, and we check over it, make sure there aren't too many errors that were submitted. But the other thing that's actually not up here that's also exciting about the payment request form versus the direct voucher is that you can attach your supporting documentation right in the system. So you're getting a soft copy with the transaction in the system. You're not mailing backup documentation anymore for payment requests. That's a non-PO voucher. And then the third thing is the auto-approve threshold. So going basically from 0, where everyone was looking at their work lists and approving every single transaction, to items that are where there isn't an issue, so it's not a match exception. So our PO vouchers, no match exception. So these are not payment requests I just talked about. Those are not going to be auto-approved. But PO vouchers that are under 1,000 that have no issue with them don't go to a work list. And that represents a very small portion of dollar. So the exposure is very small in terms of dollar, but very high in terms of volume. And again, we'll see some metrics later about that. And also in response to that, we did tighten up the matching tolerance for that auto matching, so that it actually takes less of a delta to go into a match exception to help with this. So now Vanessa is going to talk about procurement reporting.
So all the all the purchase orders and invoices are now in the system, and how do departments take a look at that? And we have a solution in CalAnswers to provide procurement reports and as well as payment reports that you guys can take a look at downstream when it is all developed. And what that does is these reports will increase your visibility of where your transactions are, whether it's been paid or it has not been delivered, and things like that. So in essence, you have one place to go to look at your transactions, and so as a result, it will streamline your business process by not having to hunt down pieces of paper everywhere. And getting all the invoices into the system and also the spend inside BEARBUY, we will be able to have internally, centrally have more visibility on all the spend. Therefore, we can then negotiate better pricing and be able to also strengthen our relationship with our suppliers as well. Ken had talked about some of the tolerances. And in the system, there is a matching rule where your invoice that comes in must match within certain tolerance in the purchase order so that it will pay. So in that sense there, it will strengthen making sure that we can ensure regulatory controls as well. And with spend directed in BEARBUY, we will also be able to start begin to reach the supply diversity goals for this campus. So all of these reportings really is going to give us some insight on how we can make better decisions on our campus in terms of spending and in terms of who we're doing business with and how we can service our campus as well. So now I'm going to, let's take a look at the one of the sample report. This is a very simple report that just illustrates supplier spend, where we're spending our money and who is we spending with. And these type of reports is going to be available to the departments as well as the central units for making better purchasing decisions. So now I'm going to talk about where we are in the project. And here is a project timeline for Berkeley. Before I start talking about this, I just wanted to dial back about a year ago. December 1st, 2010 is when we started our BEARBUY project for both our campuses. It is a joint project through collaboration between the two campuses. 10 months later, UCSF went live with the BEARBUY on November 14th, and now we are in the process of rolling out the same solution for UC Berkeley as well. And the pilot has gone live in January. It ran for about 3 weeks with close to, I think, about 150 people. And we evaluated the pilot results and felt that the campus is now ready to get onto the next rollout, which is Cohort 1. And Cohort 1 right now is in progress, 4 weeks into it. And we have seen a lot of transactions going through the system, and Ken will talk about those later on. And what we are doing right now is that we are getting ready for Cohort 2 to launch, which is scheduled on April the 3rd. And so folks that are in that cohort are already taking training. In fact, some of our teammates couldn't make it today here because they're in the classroom training our Cohort 2 users. For Cohort 3, we also have already started work on onboarding departments that are belonging to Cohort 3. So business process workshop and role workshop, and David Scrons, who is our change enabler, has been going to departments and talking with departments on how we can help them onboard the BEARBUY system. Okay? And so how you can get yourself prepared. As supervisors and managers, you have a lot of leverage in terms of getting your staff members prepared to go live with BEARBUY. Staying informed definitely is very helpful, and there are a lot of materials on the web. We have a project website, monthly newsletter. We are conducting meetings as well with departments, with the deployment leads, and I'll talk a little bit more about what that means. And then discuss the changes with the staff, get them prepared. And then also, if you have departmental meetings coming up, put BEARBUY on your agenda. Start talking about, the roles and responsibilities, who's going to do what, how we can have a smoother transition using the system. All right, and then also encourage your staff to start looking at the webinars, which we have online, and online tutorial, as well as job aids as well, just to get prepared. And the resources available to you before the deployment or during deployment, we have dedicated staff from the deployment team that will be talking with departments and answer their questions and help them decide, who is going to do what in terms of roles, assignments, and also, most importantly, talk about the business process that they will be implementing within their departments with BEARBUY. Then we have training resources. We've got a lot of training materials posted now in the BAI website, and you are welcome to go there and take a browse, and you'll be surprised how much materials is there that can really help you to get yourself on board with the BEARBUY system. And of course, there's the project website, as I mentioned before, and also the newsletter. So then what happened after folks go live? How do we get support? And help desk has been established. It's fully staffed, and we have folks from the procurement team and also from the AP team that help the help desk get up to speed. And we have a ticketing system, and either you call a number, and I can't remember on top of my head what that number was, but it's a help desk number. I think you guys probably know more than me. But you can also email your help desk ticket. And the help desk at that level is meant to help you navigate through the system. If you have an issue why you're getting something online that you didn't expect and things like that, you call that number and they'll be able to answer that. For anything that you have issues that within the BEARBUY transactions that require a little more research, maybe it's a little more complicated, then those help desk tickets will then be triaged to the Joint BEARBUY Research and Resolution Group. Now, this group is pretty new, and in the past, we procurement team will answer questions, and then AP at Disbursement will answer questions separately from the same end user, and sometimes we find that these problems are really interlocking, and it could be a procurement issue or it could be a voucher issue, and so we decided that the Controller's Office and the Procurement Services is going to form a joint research and resolution team. And that team is going to co-locate so that we're in very close proximity to be able to interact with each other while we're researching and resolving your issues with any kind of BEARBUY transactions. Then we're going to also establish service metrics. We want to gauge how successful are we in supporting our campus with their questions, and how timely are we knowledgeable in answering your questions, and so we'll have some metrics to determine and also to identify any improvement opportunity there. And in the development world, we will continue review our contracts to making sure that we're negotiating contracts for items that our campus are interested in buying. So we will continue to do that, and we will now have a bit more visibility of what the campus is buying that help us at the procurement services team to identify what contracts is needed for this campus. Okay, so what's next? There are some enhancements in BEARBUY that we will frequently see. BEARBUY is run on a software as a service named SideQuest. 3 times a year, SideQuest will have enhancement releases. We're going to look at those enhancement releases and making sure that for those releases that are useful for our campus, we will implement them. And also, going through the help desk or even going through a BEARBUY help, you can make suggestions as you start using the system to see how you can improve the system and make those suggestions, and we will play the liaison role and forward those suggestions to the SideQuest software as a service company. And that's how we operate in terms of collecting end users' wants and needs in terms of improving the system. So the rest of the three, e-sourcing, contract management, and total supplier management, are those that we will be implementing, and a lot of these will help us drive operational efficiency as well as long-term cost savings. Okay, so I don't want to get into a lot of details in that, but they are complementing the BEARBUY system that we are implementing today, so that contracts are being negotiated and tracked in a more efficient way. In turn, then we will be able to also achieve soft savings on that as well. All right, so BEARBUY in action. We have a lot of activities on campus on BEARBUY, and we're live for cohort 1, and training is in session. So there's activities that's going back to also, we're also going back to a lot of the end users are going online to the project website and make suggestions and feedback. What we've seen is that we've posted some feedback here, but a lot of these feedback are really driving towards, BEARBUY is much easier to use, and they see that, the response rate for help is much faster. And so I think so far so good. Okay? So right now I'm going to hand it over to Ken, and he's going to go through some of these numbers and stats and see how we're doing so far with our transactions.
Thank you again. Exciting numbers. Okay. So first thing I wanted to sort of draw attention to are the number of users that have increased. So you can see over the last 2 months, it's tripled, quadrupled, whatever that translates to. I don't know exactly, but you can see it's quite a large engagement by campus already, with much more to come. And the other thing at the bottom that I wanted to point out is, so the purchasing volume in dollars and quantity is, of course, going to be a bit different. As you can see, about 97% of the dollars are with non-catalog or forms, and that's because a few large POs with non-catalog, and that just skewed that metric. However, labor is more associated with quantity, volume, transactional volume. And the one on the left at the bottom there, you can see a fairly even split between managed catalog and non-catalog and forms, about 40 to 45% each. So that was very interesting. And even slightly more interesting to me, the paying side of it, which is what I wanted to focus on is as of last week, there's more than 4,000 vouchers that have been processed. More than half of those have gone through that auto approval process I was describing earlier. So less than 1,000 where the work list is not being impacted. So they're going through. So that's amazing. And right below that, the little pie chart, I wanted to point out the separation between electronic, manual, and payment requests. So electronic, more than a third are coming through, more than a third, 37%, from these enabled vendors that are sending these invoices. Humans aren't looking at them unless there's an issue and the system, kicks it out for a reason, but by and large, they are fine. And almost half are payment requests, which, as I talked about earlier, have that auto flip, so it's partially completed. So again, fewer opportunities for errors on 4/5 of items that are coming in as compared to now. And now Vanessa is going to sort of finish up with what it takes to ensure success, what it took.
So I just want to spend a few minutes and talk about what we've done. We have an extensive user requirements gathering before we even start the program. And definitely we have a total commitment from our most senior level executive sponsors. And also for the functional team and also ITS team, we all work very closely together to make this happen. And we have gone through a lot of communications to our campus as well as internally, so that everyone is on the same page within the team, since not everybody can be at all the meetings all at once. And so we do have a weekly update within our BEARBUY team to making sure that communication is flowing through. And continually collecting feedback from our end users and making continuous improvement. And that's what makes BEARBUY a successful launch for this campus and as well as for UCSF for that matter. Okay? So right now, the only last thing that I have here is that I put up a slide here to just reiterate, we have newsletter, we have the website, to please stay connected, but most importantly, talk to your colleagues. What's their experience in BEARBUY, and learn from them. And feedback to us definitely is key, and there is OE procurement at berkeley.edu. You can send that email. We are looking at those suggestions on a daily basis, so we want to also stay connected with all of you as well. Okay? So thank you very much.